Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about everything eczema. My name's Christine. If you haven't seen my first YouTube video, I recommend you go watch that just to get a little more background about me and my history with eczema throughout my life. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about my eczema and my postpartum journey. I'm currently 29 weeks postpartum, which is just a fancy way of saying I had a baby 6.5 months ago, pretty much. I had no idea what I was getting myself into or how everything was gonna be. It's been crazy, but it's been awesome. I actually rewatched my pregnancy and eczema video before shooting this just to kind of see where my head was at and try to remember what I was going through and how everything was. My eczema definitely did not get better. It got worse, which I'll be getting into. But yeah, it's been really crazy. I'll just start off with how everything was in the hospital. When it comes to my eczema, where I had left off in my pregnancy video, at that time, my eczema was pretty bad. And when I was in the hospital, it's difficult for me to remember how I felt and what I was going through just because there was so much happening. I was just in this mode of whatever needs to get done, I have to do it. So I was just focused on that. But after I gave birth, I was very out of it, very sleep deprived. So it was hard for me to really focus on how my eczema was or kind of even remember what that was like just because I was so out of it. And those first days in the hospital are just like a whirlwind of insanity. But I do remember a lot of moments of discomfort because you're bleeding the whole time, right? Just nonstop bleeding. I was sitting on a giant pad pretty much that was just all polyester and plastic, and it felt really uncomfortable, and I was pretty itchy on my under thighs just because it was really sweaty and it's getting hot. So I think I was getting a lot of eczema there. In the hospital, I guess that's what was setting up my skin to get a little crazy. Number one, I don't like sleeping anywhere else unless it's my home. I feel like I get flare-ups if I'm not sleeping at home. Even though I get flare-ups anywhere, obviously, I just feel more comfortable in my own home, in my own space. So the hospital wasn't fun for me, sleeping in some uncomfortable giant plastic situation. But after the hospital, coming home, again, just those weeks are a blur and kind of just crazy. No sleep, no real schedule. So needless to say, my eczema flared the fuck up. It got really bad, especially on my breasts. I think just because I was breastfeeding. So a lot was going on there, all my hormones, whatever. I don't know anything medical. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all of the science behind everything, but I do know a lot was going on with my body. I was in recovery mode because I was in so much pain. My body was doing so much in those first couple of weeks. So my eczema was wild. Those first couple of weeks, I did stay in touch with my dermatologist as much as I could. Maybe seeing her every 3 weeks, I guess. I would do a video call just to check in on how my eczema was doing and if it was getting better. Again, a difficult thing was putting on steroid cream and trying to manage my eczema with steroid cream just because I was with the baby all the time, holding her when she would only sleep when I would hold her, breastfeeding, all of that. I never really had a second alone to myself. So I would usually put my steroid cream on after I breastfed her, just because then I knew, okay, at least I have maybe an hour before I have to feed her again, an hour or two, whatever, depending on whether if she was cluster feeding or not. If she ended up wanting to eat sooner rather than later, I would just wash off my breasts just to make sure that there wasn't anything like topical that would come in contact with her. Again, I spoke with my dermatologist about what I was doing and how to proceed. So I would just suggest talking to your dermatologist about what you should do depending on the severity of your eczema. Mine was really bad, so I feel like I had to do this, and my dermatologist agreed that what I was doing was okay, just because I was in so much discomfort. Another thing too, like for my arms and my legs, like I would just put on steroid cream and then put on a zip front and wear sweatpants just to keep myself covered, and so my baby wouldn't come into contact with my skin. This was what I gave birth August 31st. So September, October, November, yeah, the temperature was dropping, but it wasn't anything crazy. So I would be kind of warm, but still had to cover myself just so my baby wouldn't come in contact with any steroid cream. Again, I was in a lot of discomfort. There were points where I couldn't even hold my baby because I was just so uncomfortable or in pain, and just like, the flare up, my eczema flare up was so bad. So I would just have to hand her over to my husband, which I felt really bad because there were times where he could sleep and I could stay awake, but I couldn't hold her because I was so uncomfortable. So he would have to stay awake and we would just both be awake. And I felt really bad because he couldn't rest in those moments. But he was a trooper and he helped so much, obviously, because he saw how much pain and how uncomfortable I was because of my eczema. I was scratching a lot, of course. Yeah, I'd love to scratch, but my bed sheets have become so bloody, my clothes too, just because I've been scratching a lot and I've really been breaking the skin. It's gotten so bad that in November, I applied for Dupixent, which is the shot that is used for eczema and asthma, I believe. Just because I feel like the steroid creams, though they were kind of managing or like helping here and there, once something started to clear up, it would just come back again. And also just like steroid cream is so damaging to your skin, it's just thinning it out. I just feel like I kind of had enough, and all the time it takes. It is just such a process. I was kind of getting over it and I felt like, okay, I need to apply for Dupixent. I feel like, now that I have a baby, I need to do something different that can be a lot more helpful to me, not just for my body and getting better, but with my schedule now and with taking care of the baby. After applying for Dupixent in November, which then I was like, 3 months postpartum. My eczema's kind of been like up and down, a lot more on the up rather than down for sure. I feel like it's just kind of like non-stop torture for me. I'm just always so uncomfortable and I hate putting on clothes because it's always just like touching and scratching my skin. My hands have gotten so bad because of all of the bottle and pump part washing that I've been having to do. I feel like I can't sufficiently clean the pump parts as well as I could if like I just use my bare hands. So yeah, it is kind of my fault, but whatever. So what now? Again, my eczema is very bad. Baby herself, which I mentioned in my pregnancy video, I hope that I don't pass eczema down to her just because I know how much suffering and anxiety and stress comes with eczema. What I can say is so far she seems like she's in the clear. I don't see any eczema on her. She hasn't had any reactions to anything. So I hope that she's good, though I know that eczema can turn up at any time, so I will always be aware. I did get my first Dupixent dose yesterday, actually, and I did a lot of research before going on Dupixent. I've always heard about it and I've always put it aside just because I was afraid of what it could do, if it would make it worse. So I've just always stuck to steroid cream. They have been doing trials on postpartum breastfeeding patients. I was asking a lot of questions in regards to that. And they reassured me that the protein in Dupixent doesn't transfer into breast milk because it's so big, which I don't know what that means really, but I feel like it makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Science stuff. I think the youngest age to receive Dupixent is 6 months. I can be totally wrong, and I probably could have looked that up before I said that for this video. So double check that. But pretty much it's safe to breastfeed while on Dupixent. God knows how long it took me to make this postpartum video, but I definitely do want to make a follow-up on how my journey has been with Dupixent. So I'll be doing that one day, maybe this year, maybe next year, I don't know. I really hope that this becomes like a turning point in my life. Like, I hope I do get the relief that I've been wanting and needing, just because I'm so tired of being uncomfortable all the time and looking at my skin and it being all like fucked up, and waking up scratching and hurting when I get in the shower because I scratch so much. So the water touching my skin is painful, and having blood all over my sheets because I'm bleeding all over the place because I have scratches all over my body. Shout out to OxyClean though, because always gets the blood stains out. I swear, as you can see, I have white sheets, and when you put the new sheets on, they look brand new, no blood stains, until I sleep in it with my eczema and I get blood all over them after the first night. So yeah, that's pretty much it. In a nutshell, gave birth, bad eczema flare up nonstop. Even though it's been a really rough ride, I am so thankful for my body, and I think that's important too. Like, even though it's kind of like hurting me, like, I'm so thankful for my body and everything that it's done, and feeding my baby and nurturing my baby and giving my baby everything that it needs, and trying, just to do as much as it can for my baby and for me, like healing after giving birth, like that was wild. That was crazy. I've never felt so strong, So big ups to our bodies and what they do for our children. It's crazy. I've never been so impressed. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where all of this goes, and by all of this, I mean my eczema, where it goes, which is away, hopefully. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that my experience can help you through yours. I know it's really tough being sleep deprived, taking care of baby, being in pain because you're producing milk or, whatever, and then having eczema on top of that. It's really difficult, but you just kind of power through it. And whatever way that you feel like you need to go to relieve your eczema, whether it be steroid cream or any other prescription drug, definitely speak to your dermatologist about it and your OB. Just, to make sure that you're learning about as much as you can, and that whatever you want to do doesn't affect you in any negative way, especially when you're taking care of the baby. Our bodies they're so strong, but again, they're going through a lot. So just make sure you do as much research as you can. Again, excited to see how everything goes with Dupixent. So I'll keep you guys posted. And again, thank you for watching.